Let's go across now to Rajiv Kumar. He, of course, heads the NITI Aayog, the government's main think tank. Dr. Kumar, thanks very much for joining me. What, sir, is the big takeaway from you today from the Finance Minister's press conference? Who do you think are the big beneficiaries?
The 2 or 3 big takeaways for me, Punya, which is one, of course, is that we will not let our MSMEs go under. That's the first one, because they are the most, they are vulnerable, but they are also the backbone of our industrial capacity and our employment generation efforts. So that's the one very big message, and that we'll do whatever it takes to get them, to weather the storm and then to revive them. The second message is, of course, that we know that there are problems with the current definition of the MSMEs, and they are not able to integrate with the global value chain. So we will change the definition, we'll improve their sizes, and we'll give them access to credit and technology so that they can go, as it were, global. The third is that the financial sector, especially what is called the shadow banking sector, the NBFCs and the HFCs, have not yet been able to become as robust, despite all the efforts being done by the RBI, so that we will, the finance minister has put out a package to dilute the risk perception of banks lending to this sector by extending a credit guarantee for them, and finally, but there are others, of course, that we will 2 more. One, that we will solve the DISCOM problem, because otherwise it has a sort of back effect on the generators as well as on the other manufacturers, for which 90,000 crore has been made available, and we will put extra money in the pockets of the taxpayers, which has been achieved partially now today, and then maybe more is coming, by reducing the rate of the tax, TDS, the tax deduction at source. So those are, I think, the big messages. But overall, the big message is that India will, following the Prime Minister's sort of appeal, use this opportunity to convert the crisis into an opportunity for reviving our economic activity and becoming self-reliant.
Turning crisis into opportunity, but just to ask, you made that point about taxpayers, but in that sense, what exactly are salaried taxpayers going to actually get? Because what exactly is there for salaried? Because it specifies non-salaried taxpayers. What are the big benefits for salaried taxpayers?
Well, the salaried middle class, which also, I think, get the tax deduction, right? At source, when if you're employed in private companies, etc. There's one part of it. The second part of it is that the EPFO concessions that have been made, which is that the government willing to pick up the bill for both the employers and the employees to pay the EPFO contributions.
But Mr. Kumar, that's only the government picking it up is only for certain companies below a certain level of below a certain revenue level. But for the large majority, the EPF cut is for this. It comes out of the employees and the companies' own money.
More money in hand for the EPFO employers. Yes, that's right. But I mean, there have to be priorities, as you will expect, because and there are other tranches to come. But I'm clear in my mind that saving the informal sector, and which is led by the MSME, is, in my view, a much higher priority than then giving succor to what you call the middle class, or the tax-paying middle classes, which have had a reduction in their tax, liabilities earlier. But we'll see, and we'll wait to see what happens in the next few tranches.
Right. So the middle class, in a sense, not really the priority at this point. But tell me, Dr. Kumar, also some questions being raised for the actual cash infusion as part of the stimulus package by the government into the economy. Because some of the schemes, of course, already announced, as we saw in our graphic, by the RBI early and RBI liquidity scheme. So in that sense, will the cash infusion into the economy be enough to get the stimulus impact that you actually want? The opposition has raised this as well.
Well, there is a fair chunk of money that are going out. For example, the 90,000 crore that the PFC and the REC will hand over to the discounts, for meeting their loans. So that's one clear. The 3 lakh crore collateral-free loans to the MSMEs. After all, that's a fund that will, when utilized, will be cash infusion economy. The number of steps that the RBI took to infuse liquidity into the system is cash outgo from into the economy. So I think, and then that the government has borrowing requirement from about 7.8 lakh crore to 12 lakh crore. Now all that extra money will be spent as additional public expenditure, into the economy. So I think there's a significant cash infusion into the economy to shore up demand, and then there is more to come, as the Prime Minister has indicated, and as the Finance Minister indicated herself. The street vendors, the migrant workers, the other, the elderly, and the day after. So there is, you see, the total package, if you include all that has been done in the past and today, is in my view about 11.8, something like that, lakh crore. And then the Prime Minister has said it's about 20 lakh crore, which is the size of the stimulus package. So there is significant bit left to go. And let's hear that before we start taking any positions or judgments.
Of course. So the Finance Minister's press conference tomorrow, and that point you're making also the day after that. So what is the big challenge ahead that you see, of course, as the head of the NITI Aayog? We've seen the humanitarian crisis of the migrants' exodus from our major cities. How does India get back to work when its workers, in a sense, have left the major urban centers?
Let me put this in perspective. I mean, the total number of migrants, including their families, however, I just spoke to some leading experts in the country, is about 72 million. Of half of which is supposed to be workers in the workforce, which is about 35, 38 million people, of which, if you take all estimates, I think not more than 5 or 6 million have actually moved back. The rest, if I can say so, are in situ, are in places where they are. And as the economic, lockdown is lifted and economic activity starts, they will be back to where they were working. Now, this is all the cab drivers and all the people in the textile mills and and the power looms and so on and so forth. So I think I know the plight of all those who have moved, and not for a minute am I underestimating that human, the difficulties and the human costs of that. But the numbers themselves, if you have 38 million workers, migrant workers in the workforce of 400 million in this country, which 5 to 7 to 8 million have moved back. The rest are available for being deployed back to their production center as soon as the economic activity starts.
Right, Dr. Kumar, thanks very much for joining us for your first reactions on the Finance Minister's announcements today.